Number 4 are possibly highest risers this year from 8th to 4th. Lily Ball don't sleep, baby. It is the 4th place. Pittsburgh Riverhounds, us and the fans were in lockstep. No right back, no problem because hey, this team apparently looks good enough for 4th. John, who's in, who's out?
Yeah, I mean, they lost Edward Kizza and Patrick Hogan, both to Indy. Langston Blackstock is gone to a rival in Charleston. Danny Rovira is gone to a rival in Rhode Island. They did bring in Burton Jackson on a full-time deal. Augie Williams is coming. Max Broughton in the back line, real standout in the NCAA, one to watch. There are a couple of college kids who I won't name, but you never know with Lily.
Yeah, and you never know with Lily. Ryan, you have been watching this league for a long time. He makes defending question marks into absolute gems. Do you see that trend continuing?
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking at from last season over the last 4 years, that Lily Ball team that still somehow finished 7th in the Eastern Conference, that was their meanest defense over the last 4 seasons. That was just 28 goals conceded, and then Lily Ball this offseason goes out and signs 3 forwards to really kind of help bolster their attack that they had. I mean, of the last 4 seasons, you had 3 of them were over 50 goals scored on the regular season. Bob Lilly just knows how to succeed within USL. He had basically a season blip from last year, but this is a manager who just knows what to do within this league, that us seeing them rise up our predicted rankings doesn't come as much of a shock to anyone.
You know, for me, when we did our 90s, 50s, 10s predictions a couple weeks ago, go check that video and podcast out if you haven't already. This was my 10%. I said there's a 10% chance that this team wins the Players' Shield. And a lot of it, all of it comes down to Lily Ball makes defense. And they brought in a guy named Augie Williams, who in recent memory is the best goal scorer that they have brought, a best established goal scorer that they've brought in since Cicerone, maybe. I mean, he is a bona fide goal scorer. And then they bring Jackinson back on a full-time deal who just could not stop scoring. Am I too bullish on that front line, or is there something there?
I mean, I think if you look at the talent with Augie and Jackson, like that's a level of dynamism coming into a season that we haven't seen since probably 2020, 2021. It is interesting because though Augie has some size, he's not really kind of the wrecking ball mold that you would expect from a Kizza or a Dikwa in years past. A little bit more of a refined number 9, even though he looks the part of that classic striker. I'm a little bit lower than the consensus on this team. Like, I'm sold Pittsburgh is going to make the playoffs, but it just takes a couple things in that back line that's looking thin. You kind of wonder, like, I don't know, are the forwards going to get scoring right away, or are they going to have a slump like they did last season? I'm a fan, and I know that Bob Lilly does what Bob Lilly does, but yeah, a little bit of a question mark for me here.
So, Ryan, when you're looking at this team, or where do you sit? Are you with the consensus? Are you with the fans and that they are the 4th best, or are we all just a little bullish because of the name of the head coach?
I probably leaned more towards the name of the head coach as just being someone who I just had faith that he'll get it figured out. One of the other things that really stuck out to me as well is that they start the season with North Carolina, San Antonio, and Hartford all in a row. Those were 3 teams that finished below Pittsburgh in the table from last season, that it could really give them momentum to kind of carry their way through to kind of just start the year on the right foot. This is a Pittsburgh Riverhounds team who started last season without winning any of their first 5 games, and it really set them behind the 8 ball to start the season. That if they can just have that positive momentum to kind of kick off the year, I think it's enough that it will carry them to always kind of be in the playoff hunt. But there are obviously teams that we haven't mentioned yet that could very well be disrupting this Riverhound side.
Any final thoughts on the River Puppies?
We got a comment about it. Luke Biasi really is that guy. Like, he is so good in that back line, can play left wing back if you need it. Killer player.
Yeah, I like Biasi. There was a weird thing with him at the very beginning of the year where they were playing Griffin as a center back, and then Biasi was just kind of left out to dry, and we're like, what's going on? And then they just put him back as center back, and everything was fine.
There were a couple games where they like used him as an inverted defender in a way because they wanted to like activate his foot on the switch. It was very Lily in a way that didn't work, but I loved dearly. So keep on cooking, Pittsburgh.
Well, they are in this 5-2-3 with Etsu, or Dick is in goal, of course. And then you have Etsu on the left, and then their center backs, Biasi, Asamanu, and Suber. And then our holding midfielders, we had Wiati and then Griffin. And then up top, you have Mertz, Jackson, and up top, Augie Williams. You don't need a right back. He'll find a college kid.
I've got an important point to make about the Riverhounds before we move on. Obviously, when it's Valentine's Day, you're seeing teams put out fake cards. That's their whole shtick. Pittsburgh did one with Eric Dick and did not make the perfect joke based around that. So I am frustrated with the social media team up at Highmark.